sim races from around the globe, honoring a revolutionary era of open-wheel racing. With a beast not easily tamed, roaring around legendary circuits at breakneck speed. When engineers and drivers push boundaries, sometimes too far. When heroes muscled roaring beasts wheel to wheel around the hallowed grounds. A time when the only driver aids were his 2 feet, the perfect combination of man, machine, and speed. Experience the competition and the glory of early 80s IndyCar action. The Lionheart Retro Series, presented by Next Level Racing, starts now.
The diverse set of challenges continue for the drivers in the Lionheart Retro Series, as today they make their way to maybe one of the most challenging short tracks in America. It's time to go racing for the first time in almost 5 years at the Milwaukee Mile. Welcome to the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile. Delighted to have your company here on RaceSpotTV for coverage of the 2023 Lionheart Retro Series. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, joined once again by the one and only DJ Clark for what's bound to be a fascinating 175 laps of racing action. Let's dive straight into our butt kicker pre-race show, because I've had my calendar circled for this date for quite a while, because DJ, it's the final one of the short track races for quite a while before we get to the penultimate round of the season in 2024.
Yeah, very much so, Arjuna. And these short track races, this is really and truly where we see some of those road racer specialists come alive a little bit. Racing around here at the Milwaukee Mile, it's not like you're running at an intermediate oval that's going to be majority flat out. You've really got to use the brake, try to get that car to rotate. And with the setup that we're running here tonight, this is going to be a real challenge for these drivers.
You can see them in their final stages of practice right now, all just getting a sense for how this race is going to play on out. But let's talk you through the Next Level Racing schedule, and of course we're into the closing stages now of 2023, and we'll have 2 races in 2024, Gateway and of course Auto Club, 2 ovals, 2 more road courses, yes, still to come in what is a very diverse set of challenges in this Lionheart Retro Series.
Very diverse indeed, and truly globetrotting here as we head over to Imola, then back to Nashville. That's one that I've had circled a little bit. Tire wear could be a big issue in that race. And then, of course, December 14th, going to Road America, the National Park of Speed. Everything races great on that track. What a better way to end the road course season than at that beautiful 4-mile circuit.
And of course we can crown a road course champion at that point as well, but still a couple of weeks away if we're being honest, and of course we'll be on the other side of some American holidays as well. Let's talk you through the Next Level Racing driver standings where, well, it's still Sean Campbell that leads, and with drop rounds now starting to be factored in, the margin looking a little bit closer to Michael O'Brien and David Sirrod than maybe it's reflected in overall points. But ultimately, this late in the season, DJ Campbell just needs to maintain consistency with one hand effectively on the championship.
Well, and the biggest thing for Campbell is going to be keeping out of incidents. These oval rounds can be a bit of a lottery if you are in the mid-pack, so I think for Sean, he needs to qualify well, keep himself at the front of the field, and run his own race here tonight. If we see him have a rough qualifying starting around 15th or on back, that could spell a little bit of trouble here for the rookie.
And you can see other rookie Phil Krause inside the top 10, all the way down in 6th position, but there are so many championship fights still left to watch out for, and drivers looking to make their statement at the end of what for some has been a difficult campaign. The HyperX Team Championship standings, though, look very similar as they did last week and the week before that, because it's not changed inside of the top 10 for quite a while, except with the margin between the Nezumi Graphics LC teammates at the front growing. The defending champions, DJ, still very much on top form.
Yeah, they look to be the team to beat, really, as they have done since about the 3rd race of the season. They cemented their dominance early on, and they have kept it going. And at this point, it almost seems like a foregone conclusion for that MadWorks grouping of Nezumi Graphics LC.
can see some close battles for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Ultimately, multiple drivers means multiple things to be taken into account. The butt kicker rookie standings, though, with Campbell and Krause the only two inside of the top 10. Top 2 in these championship standings as well. But the likes of Sam Fontaine, Christopher Hill, Matt Wagner, Dan Zagers, Drew White, Jeff Heisong, Andrew Wood, and Bruno Miranda have accumulated points over the rest of 2023. We'll see who can show some speed as well at the end of their rookie campaigns, with Campbell seemingly going to grab not just top honors in the Drivers' Championship, but in the Rookie Championship as well. We're into Season 7 of this Lionheart Retro Series as we talk you through the Gomez Sim Industry Series details in what is the 10th year of the Lionheart Racing Series. We're racing a Grand Prix machine that very much defined its era with ground effect, the Lotus 79, but we proved that it can also turn left and just left on the ovals with a custom fixed setup that the drivers are all adapting to. Just their 2 hands and their 2 feet to fight for their share of $3,600 in cash and prizes, with 2 of our Triple Crown races in the books, just 1 more still left to come at the very end of the season. They're all chasing, of course, the defending champion Mike Razmas, and current points leader Sean Campbell, while defending champions MadWorks continue to lead, now under new branding, Nozumi MadWorks, of course, still at the top of the HyperX Team Championship. And it's for only the 3rd time, DJ, that the Lotus 79s unload at America's legendary oval. And it's going to be a fascinating one because high levels of attrition have been seen before. 12 cautions all the way back in Season 1, I think, is what the drivers are slightly worried about.
Yeah, they're very worried about it, and I had a chance to be able to talk to a few drivers before the race. A little bit of looseness in these cars. Watch for, and we'll talk about this a bit later, but getting pinched down on the inside line of this circuit, that's really the danger zone. If we see drivers going too wide, watch for that car on the inside to get a little bit squirrely. That's where incidents are going to come from.
And the arena event details talk about clean air being the gift that pays victory, but something that we were also kind of discussing just before we went live, DJ, is the fact that, well, clean air can also be a bit of a treacherous beast here at the Milwaukee Mile.
Yeah, it certainly can. These cars are designed to run in a little bit of a pack here. That's what the setup has been here for. So I think getting in that clean air, feeling it a little bit more, it could throw the cars off a little bit, not handle the way you expect it to. And once again, that twitching is coming into play for those cars as you get the full effect of clean air coming over the wings and crucially under the cars and affecting these ground effects as well.
You see the drivers out there for the final stages of practice. Let's take this time, though, to thank those that make this all possible. Starting with HyperX, the Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit HyperX.com. Next Level Racing is an industry-leading cockpit and motion simulator manufacturer devoted to creating the most immersive experience possible for the global sim racing community. Take your racing to the next level and visit nextlevelracing.com. You're passionate about sim racing, but it always feels a little flat compared to the feeling of driving a real car. Now you can actually feel what it's like to drive a race car. Butt kicker haptic hardware and software are easy to install and let you feel every bump in the track, slip of your tire, and engine redline. The tactile feedback is so accurate and realistic, you'll be driving faster and having more fun than ever before. Visit thebuttkicker.com to learn more. If you think sim racing is thrilling, try getting behind the wheel of a real race car. The BMW M4 GT4 experience at the BMW Performance Driving School in Thermal, California puts you in the cockpit of one of BMW's fastest cars, complete with roll cage and racing slicks. You'll get fitted with a racing suit, practice pit stops, and lap their track with pro instructors. Nothing virtual about their thrills. To book your M4 GT4 experience, call or visit the link on screen. Gomez Sim Industries are makers of high-end esports equipment and controls, precision built using nothing but the best materials available today. Passion and handmade craftsmanship drive each made-to-order build, creating a driving experience like no other. Visit GomezSimIndustries.com to learn more. Arena is an all-new esports streaming experience driven by real-time interactions between gamers and their communities. Arena brings live broadcast fan engagement to the next level. Get involved and make a difference on arena.tv. And graphics, from simple logos to full branding for your company's virtual designs to liveries raced by Indy 500 champions. Graphics offers the finest quality with a wide range of design services. Visit graphicsesports.com to learn more. If you're just joining us, welcome to the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile. It's Arjuna Kankipati alongside with DJ Clark as we get set and ready to go. And the drivers are out there, DJ, right now as they get ready to go for the qualifying session.
Yeah, indeed they are. And one of the things I heard here is that the fact that these setups here for qualifying are a little bit different than the race sets. Indeed, they're going to be a little bit tighter, so it's going to be a different driving experience for these drivers out on circuit. So they're going to have to be a little bit adaptive to it. And I wouldn't be surprised, Arjuna, if we see a bit of a shuffling in the order as a result of that. Drivers who have spent a lot of time in the race sim could be a little bit farther back in the order if they haven't practiced nearly as much for qualifying.
And so they get 5 minutes and 2 laps, the track to themselves, to go as quick as they can. We'll see who plays the session out the quickest possible. Razmas currently on provisional pole, but instantly pipped by Alex Guyon in the Raven Lavoie Motorsports machine as the times begin to enter onto that left-hand side of your screen. Look at the compromise from Campbell on the opening lap. DJ, 1.7 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's maybe him just trying to warm up the tires a little bit more and now going to go into a hard push lap. Ooh, Michael O'Brien making contact there with the outside wall, the Nizumi Graphics MadWorks driver. That's going to be a discounted lap there for him on the second time. No, it's not. He made it.
And what a surprise as well, because I was in the same situation as DJ, thinking it was not going to count. Well, surprise, surprise, it did. Here's Sam Fontaine as Christopher Hill, the rookie, is up to second momentarily. The 2240 Racewear machine will slide up to the outside of row number 3, and look at those margins between the drivers. Matt Taylor and Sean Campbell with identical lap times scored for the time being.
Yeah, you're very true about that, Arjuna. We've got some close margins up at the top, but look down farther in this field. We're talking about 0.5 of a second, 0.4 of a second separating some of these drivers, and I think that really goes to show you they're struggling a little bit with this setup, because remember, that's around a single mile. Losing that much time is a lion's share.
It's so much about confidence as well for these drivers. David Sirois has had so many pole positions. It's not going to be another one this time. It's 36 thousandths of a second that sees Michael O'Brien still provisionally on top. Chris Fowler, one of those drivers you see down the bottom, well, he spun on his second lap, so he's not going to start any better than 15th spot. Can Cristobal Valenzuela find some more improvement? Yes, he can. It's a 25-1-2-1. It's him up into 13th spot, and now 2 minutes left to go. We'll see who else is still going to find some improvement. There are cars wiggling their way around a track right now.
Yeah, they're really trying to get some heat into these tires, get them all cleaned up. A little bit surprising. It's 109 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature right now, which would tell me that this is a pretty toasty track surface. But clearly, these drivers pushing into those bias ply tires as much as possible, trying to heat them up as quickly as they can.
The track conditions definitely going to be something to keep an eye on as we work through the course of the 175 laps, because we'll be working into the early evening, late afternoon, depending on how you look at it. But it is iRacing day, no matter how cold it is here in California today. iRacing still says 15th of May. The conditions that the drivers deal with. Wagner's up to 6th in the number 2 machine, and Ricky Harden with a 24.800's done even better than that to 5th momentarily.
Yeah, and it looks like here that the second lap on these qualifying laps really and truly is the money lap here at this point, as we now watch, I believe that's Matt Telder working his way around the number 44 machine. Which sounds a little bit familiar to me. I used to race under that number as he works his way through.
That's a pretty good racing number. How many time world champion runs that number as well? Here comes Telder to the line, 24.984. We'll see him go from 20th to 15th, and now his teammate Jim Herrick will be the final driver, set a lap time in the session.
Yeah, let's see what Jim's got here at this point. He's about 1.8 seconds off on his first lap. Going to cross over the line here at this point. Where is that going to put Jim in the number 40 machine only up to 20th, displacing Chris Fowler, who had that spin on his second lap.
And so it goes to show that the gamble for Fowler to try and set something up on the first lap and go fast on the second lap doesn't pay out. But in a race where, DJ, I think we don't know what to expect. Back in Season 1 with the 12 cautions, 9th came out on top. Season 2, the year after that, it was pole position that waltzed into HyperX victory lane. I'm not sure you could really tell who's going to win this race after that qualifying session.
No, I'm not sure as well, but I think the one thing that's going to be crucial here, Arjuna, is patience for a lot of these drivers, feeling out the car, making sure they get it right. Watch for some drivers to hold back a little bit, not be aggressive. Those are going to be the ones that I want to keep my eye on.
Well, we're ready to rumble then. 2 more short track races to go, and it's the Milwaukee Mile that greets the drivers here for round 17 of 2023's Lionheart Retro Series. Let's run you down through the butt kicker starting grid for the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile. For Michael O'Brien, it's pole position number 5 of the season. He'd be alongside David Sirah. The two of them split by just 36 thousandths of a second as they both look to make inroads in the championship, with Sean Campbell not to be seen in the first 3 rows. Christopher Hill, Luis Gonzalez Nunez, 2 drivers that will be very delighted with their starting spots. They'll see Ricky Harden and Mike Rasmas, the defending champion, lining up behind them. 7th will go the way of Craig Forsyth in the distinctive number 53. Matt Wagner on the outside of row number 4 will have Sean Campbell, the points leader, alongside Matt Taylor, hoping maybe to be a bit of a villain in that number 8. George Enzaldo and Chris Stouffer, 11th and 12th positions for the 2 staples of Lionheart competition. Sam Fontaine and Alex Guyon, 13th and 14th, with Matt Telder and Rodrigo Munoz behind them. Cristobal Valenzuela and Drew White will share row 9, while bookending your top 20, it's Richie Hearn and Jim Herrick, with Chris Fowler, that one driver to spin on their second lap, maybe a bit cursed in the qualifying session, and plenty of drivers with no times on the board. The likes of David Rodriguez, Sam Ryman, Hugo Gallus. That's the 24 drivers that get ready to go. And I believe because DJ, it's a short track, they get 2 laps as well to build some temperature into their tires as well. It's important we know just how much these tires have been evolving over the course of our coverage here of the Retro Series on RaceSpotTV.
Yeah, most certainly have been. It used to be back in the day you wouldn't have to worry at all about the tires. You could just lean on them until the day was over, but they have changed a little bit. They are still bias ply, so they're going to be a little bit longer lasting than your standard slick rubber today, but got to watch out for them at this point, especially around a flat track like this. A lot of lateral load coming across these tires. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a rear tire change at some point during the course of this race.
Well, let's see if we can run you down through today's featured onboard camera, starting with Ricky Harden, who rides with Gomez Sim Industries, makers of high-end esports equipment and controls. Visit GomezSimIndustries.com.
Next driver up is going to be Chris Fowler on the Donate Life machine. Learn more about organ, eye, and tissue donation and register today at donatelife.net.
Riding with HyperX, it's Alex Guyon. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game.
Number 6 of George Enzaldo is going to carry the Next Level Racing onboard camera. Take your racing to the next level. Visit nextlevelracing.com.
And so the drivers will get ready to rumble as the pace car already off and away, so only one formation lap as they get the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile underway. It's Michael O'Brien that leads them into the opening corner and safely through. The top 10 for the most part will get single filed out. No changes except Sean Campbell working his way up 2 positions. Luis Gonzalez Nunez on the inside of Christopher Hill as they battle for 3rd position, but O'Brien and Sirah clear at the front to the end of lap number 1.
Well, the biggest problem here is going to be coming out of turn 4. You've got to watch out for a little bit of understeer coming off of that corner. The car's going to want to push up on the track, and so very, very lucky there, I think, for Gonzalez Nunez to be able to get that to play.
On the outside, that's Chris Stouffer now trying to fight his way past the likes of Sam Fontaine and George Enzaldo. The relatively flat nature of this track means that there's not too many grooves that we'll see with the high load that these drivers are experiencing through the corners. But it is meaning that, at least for the time being, clean air where you want to be as Michael O'Brien starts to break away at the front of the field. It's why Sean Campbell's being relatively aggressive this early on, already up 3 positions to 6th.
Yeah, he's trying to push his way forward. The only thing that could come back to help here a little bit is maybe a little bit of fuel saving farther back in the field, but with as much braking as you got to do, I think you can be able to fuel save up in the front of this race as well. So it is a true mad scramble up to that front position. Yeah,
often you think that you won't be able to save at the front, but you're dictating the tempo effectively of those behind, so that's what they'll be hoping for. And Zaldo and Stouffer started alongside. They're still alongside as we come towards the end of lap 4, but down the inside in the blue, white, and blue number 13, Stouffer's 40 racewear car will try and peel Enzaldo off the line, and this is where, running lap after lap after lap, we'll start to wonder deeper into this race how the tires will fare out.
Yeah, and watch out for those drivers, particularly down on that inside track. You'll see here as we ride on board the nose camera of Samuel Fontaine, you can see that painted asphalt, that different color of asphalt, drivers that move down into that area, that's that danger zone we talked about. There is a slight bit of banking here at the Milwaukee Mile, and it is very, very slim there at the lower line, so that's going to put a lot of wear on the tires running down there.
I thought for a second Christopher was going up into the wall, but he had it under control. Arjuna doesn't know what he's thinking. Back in the pack, it's the charge from Chris Fowler that now has to start to come deep and come early, because he's already up to 17th, now leaving Drew White and Valenzuela to fight behind. But this early on, already up 4 positions, Fowler's got to hope that the cautions come his way as well to be up there towards the front at the end of this race.
Very much so, and it does bode well that he's been able to move that car up this many positions, but I've got to think here that he wants to have a few drivers play ball with him potentially, maybe recognize he's a faster machine trying to move his way through the field. They're not obligated to do so, and I think Fowler's going to have his work cut out for him here today.
Especially given that Matt Telder, Rodrigo Munoz, these are again drivers that have their own championship battles to be thinking about. They're not just going to pull aside and let that number 20 work on forward, but again, remember, Izumi Graphics LC Madworks in that team championship will be relying on the 20 to work their way on forward. And speaking of forward, at the front, look at how David Sirois has closed up to the back of Michael O'Brien. It's maybe 3 car lengths or so between the two of them as they scamper down that back straightaway. New paint scheme on the number 45 for Michael O'Brien. Bit of a yellow submarine going on there. It's a 4-car train seemingly, though, at the front for the time being.
Yeah, these two are going to be followed here by Gonzalez Nunez and Christopher Hill. They've got about a 0.7 of a second breakaway from Mike Rasmus. But I wonder here if we maybe see a little bit of a battle. Maybe Sirois is going to be a little bit aggressive here at this point with how much speed he's got over O'Brien. If we maybe see this field punch itself back up a little bit more.
Well, these drivers are potentially risking a caution being dropped at some point, as George Anzaldo now on the outside as Chris Fowler slinks up the inside. They might go 3 wide. There's going to be some contact. It was Chris Fowler with the body check on Matt Telder. Drew Weiss just slammed into the wall, and the caution's out for the first time today.
And I wonder there, Arjuna, if that was a little bit of incident fixation. He saw that contact up in front of him and got scared off the line. I didn't see any direct contact with Drew White, but we'll have to go back and take another look.
The all-seeing replay machine, I'm sure, will tell us something, but with now 11 laps officially complete, it means that we will stack up behind the pace car, and the question will be, who is thinking about pit stops? We'll take a look at the replay then, and, well, they were almost 3 wide into the corner.
They were indeed. Oh, my bad. That was a little bit of contact there with Richie Hearn, it looked like. I'd have to see another play of it, but I think White may have turned down on him ever so slightly. Hearn down on the inside in that blue and yellow machine. Yeah, that was Drew White, I think, trying to be a little bit too aggressive there with Hearn. Hearn is entitled to hold that line down on the inside.
So the flat nature of the track as well. Behind Richie Hearn would have been Jim Herrick. So let's jump on board with that number 40 machine and take a look from the perspective here. It is a bit of a late send, to be fair to Drew White, but Richie was committed to the move, and the Elite West Racing machine, fortunately, I think, got away without much damage. There are a handful of cars that peel off towards the pit lane. Forsyth, Taylor in that mix as well. Up towards the front, I don't think anyone is bailing from track position.
No, I think that's the right call, and I frankly like this call if you are mid-pack on down. Get yourself on a little bit of an alternate strategy. See if maybe at the mid-race point you're able to run this 13 laps and change, that you'll be able to get over and run a little bit in clean air up at the front of the field. This is a good call for these drivers farther on back.
Well, that's one caution. We said 12 was the mark that we hit back in season 1 all those years ago, and hopefully not going to hit that again. The most that we've ever seen, though, at Milwaukee is in the Lionheart Open Wheel Series, which was 17. 17, you heard me correctly, back in season 6. Hopefully, we can't get up to that mark, but of course 175 laps means plenty of opportunity. Richie Hearn's down to the pit lane, so maybe there is a little bit of damage. But a green flag fuel window, let's talk about that, because pit entry here is a proposition in and of itself. But 50 laps, 175 lap race. We're not too worried about the fuel mileage, DJ, unless, well, we get a missed time caution from various drivers' perspectives.
Very much so, and this is the gamble that some of these drivers are going to put themselves in, particularly the ones up at the front of the field. We now have a 14-lap window that is going to put them into that, well, let's use the Thousand Bell phrase, the danger zone. That is going to put them into that scary area, so they've got to be careful about it, and they're going to be watching in the rearview mirrors for those 10-odd cars that did come in.
And I think I see the lights off on the pace car, which indicates we're ready to go once again. It's a pretty short cycle under caution, all things considered. And so as off and away the pace car pulls, Michael O'Brien gets us back underway for the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile. And this time single file is going to mean a bit more orderly into the opening corner. Rasmus is up the inside of Christopher Hill, at least momentarily, cycling up out of turn 2. Now the momentum on the outside has let Christopher Hill hold on. And here comes Sean Campbell to take advantage.
Yeah, I saw Campbell kind of lurking in the wings there. He was just waiting for that opportunity to go if indeed Hill wasn't able to, or Rasmus wasn't able to make that move, but Campbell's not able to get it done either. The whole field here going to go single file, it looks like.
I think we're also maybe just seeing indications that some of these drivers recognize, let's not fight too hard right now. Long way to go in this race, and we've already seen one caution and one retiree. Drew White officially a DNF on the day, as wrapping round to the flag once more. 2 laps back under green will be complete. My points leader, Sean Campbell, still sits in a relatively good spot. First cars who have come down pit lane, well, Matt Taylor, we'll see how fresh tires get. Or rather, fresh tires. As we hear the rumble of the engine. Sorry, I realized that was about to come. It's not about the tires just yet, DJ. It's about the fuel that we're talking about.
Right, and remember, because these are Formula-style cars, they are incredibly light, so these drivers that came down into pit lane are going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage. They're going to have more weight in the car, courtesy of more fuel put into it during the course of that pit stop. What that means is they could be a little bit slower, so Taylor to be able to get the jump on Jim Herrick, one of those drivers that didn't come down into the pits, that bodes well for the number 8.
And behind them, Stouffer, Forsyth battling in amongst each other. And I think it's going to be the 13 up the inside that will officially get on through. And indeed, asserts his hold on 15 spot for the time being. If you're Michael O'Brien, if you're David Sirois, if you're these drivers back up towards the front, you were mentioning earlier that you can be fuel saving if you're the leader, because you can dictate the tempo that those behind you are running well. DJ, look at the conga line that's built up behind your race leader is now Luis Gonzalez, Nunez, Christopher Hill, Mike Rasmus. The entire field stacked up behind the point.
Yeah, everybody's stacked up behind, and we're seeing fastest laps being set from about 11th on back. So I think that is very indicative here. O'Brien watching out for that crossover window of the drivers that came down into pit lane. He's trying to do some fuel saving here, make this tank go as long as possible. You
can see that track map at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. The field effectively still now wrapping out of the first corner, in towards the final corner. Gonzalez Nunez keeps poking out of line, threatening to take a look up the inside of David Sirois, number 99, but that time by out of the final corner. That 14's team, that SimRace 24/7 car almost ran into the wall. If you're Sean Campbell after working forward early, that would have felt pretty comfortable. I feel decidedly less comfortable right now, right in the middle of the Hornet's nest, but at the same time, DJ, you can't afford to drop back or move forward too aggressively at this stage.
No, you've got to be calm, cool, and collected and keep yourself together here. As we rode on board the nose cone there of Campbell, you can see he's just trying to see if there's any room to be had over Mike Rasmus right now, and it doesn't look like there is. So I think at this point, Campbell probably has to just wait for the opportunity. If he tries to force that issue, not only could he run himself into a foul here, but Ricky Harden's right behind him and very close behind, and now we've got a battle here with Wagner and Fontaine.
Bit of a mistake, opportunity, and Fontaine didn't need that second invitation to slide on through. Laps will tick away because we are punching in lap times in the sub 25 second bracket, even though 175 sounds like a lot. It's a physical, it's a mental challenge for them all. Wagner now gets past Rodrigo Munoz, just the loss of momentum, being forced off of the line, and maybe a bit of damage as well. Hard to see visually, but that car still not up to speed just yet.
No, it just looks like it's struggling a little bit. Washed up the track there a little bit coming off of turn 2. Let's take another look from above as they come through 3 and 4 here at this point. And that down into pit lane. We've got another caution.
Yep, caution is out. And so, cautions breed cautions. This one is David Rodriguez. That's going to be a disappointment for him, along with Craig Forsyth. Rodriguez, someone that we know can save the fuel, to say the very least, at short tracks like this. Let's go ahead, spool up the replay, figure out what happened into turn number 1.
Looks like they dove in. Oh, looks like they're just lost control of the car. Multiple cars involved in that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more damage from other cars, but it looks like Forsyth got down into that low portion of the track that we talked about. The car just didn't like it.
And I tell you what, Matt Taylor, whose car says he's cursed, got away with that one. It was poor David Rodriguez, also of the Nezumi Graphics LC stable, that ended up being the cursed one. And it's going to be a busy, busy time on pit road, because here comes, with the exception of a handful of cars, the field down and onto the lane. They're going to be topping off the tanks. It'll be interesting if anyone is going up on the jacks, as it does appear as though Christopher in that second, not Christopher, excuse me, David Sirron, that second pit stall was doing.
Yeah, he's going to lose some track position as a result of that. And now here comes the funnel. Drivers have to be very careful as they come out of the pits here. It is about 3-4 lanes as you exit pit lane, but it very quickly funnels down into 1. Luckily, no incidents there, but I'm not sure if I love that call here at this point for Sirwa to take tires. I think it's a little bit early.
And so he spent 7 seconds in the box. Michael O'Brien spent 5.9. The field a bit more close to the 6-second number across the board. But Taylor now the race leader with Stouffer, Telder, and Anzaldo. 4 drivers that ended up staying out there and now have, again, a 14-lap advantage of their own.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see how that plays out. Now, remember, once again, Taylor, Stouffer, Telder, and Anzaldo, they're all going to be theoretically faster because they have less fuel in the car than the rest of this field. Are they going to be able to maybe build a bit of a gap? Let's see what Matt Taylor can do in that number 8. We know he's quick. Is he going to be able to streak away?
That 1 on the left side indicates just the 1 lap under pacing for the drivers out there on track. If it's 50 to 52 in green flag conditions, DJ, throw in a couple of cautions here and there, what does the fuel number become potentially at the end of the race?
I think if you've got a couple of cautions here, you may be able to extend it to 55 or 56. Normally, I would say if we had David Rodriguez still in this race, we could be looking at 60. But I think 55 to 56 is going to be the number if you're able to do this under yellow. But it looks like, Arjuna, that pace car is ready to come back down to pit lane.
Pace car is going to peel off and away, and for the second time today, caution period will come to an end. This time, though, it's with Taylor in the lead. Stouffer, Telder, and Zaldo, the other 3 machines, not coming down to pit lane on that previous cycle. Sean Campbell tries to take advantage of this restart. Looks to the inside of Ricky Harden, and the points leader not hanging about, but going to get checked up off the corner as David Sirrod now loses out. I think maybe those tire changes not playing out well for him. 3 wide into turn number 3.
Yeah, not playing out well indeed. Just no front grip there in the car as those bias ply tires come up to temperature. But this is a feisty restart across the board.
Up front, you got O'Brien trying to work his way on forward as well. Razmas has also been able to carve his way past Anzaldo, but the margin built up to the 44 of Telder, at least momentarily, scampering down the back straightaway. It's Taylor now trying to take advantage, and these are crucial laps out front, DJ, where the clean air is going to help the tire life.
Yeah, I certainly think it is. If you don't have to fight any of that tire wear, if you don't have to fight anything about those cars.
Oh! Goodness! Christopher and Matt Telder, I think, came together. Hellacious bit of contact.
That was not good by any stretch of the imagination there. Cars flipping up into the air.
So, I mean, it's in through turn 1. Stouffer just gets loose down low, and Telder with nowhere to go. And then I think Stouffer gets onto the nose of George Anzaldo, which gives him a little bit more of a Tony Hawk style alley-oop there.
Yeah, just gets up into the side there. That was all on Stouffer at that point. He just got down into that the rumble strips there in the pit lane entry. That threw him around. I think that was George Anzaldo collecting a little bit of damage as well.
We'll grab one more look at it, but all these repeated cautions will mean that some drivers will be feeling a little bit relieved. Matt Taylor maybe not so, given that now the field behind him all on the different strategy. Oh, goodness, that was a big old hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really and truly was a massive, massive lick there to the side of the car. That is not going to feel good.
Richie Hearn dives back down to the pit lane, as do Matt Wagner, Jim Herrick, and Sam Ryman, but 24 starters. I think now officially we can probably say 5 retirees, with Telder, Stouffer, Forsyth, Rodriguez all joining Drew White. Goodness, Milwaukee is proving to be difficult for plenty of the drivers. Taylor's up front, and now, as mentioned, with no protection from those behind on the different fuel strategies. The good thing, though, here is, DJ, when you have strength in numbers like Nezumi Graphics LC do, well, Michael O'Brien and Razmas could help out the teammate leading up front.
Yeah, they certainly could play a little bit of rear gunner here at this point, try to block things out a little bit. And also, we could see a little bit of working together. As we said, with Taylor up front, he's going to be able to dictate the pace. And if he's got a couple of blockers behind him, he's not going to have any challenges coming up the inside.
Exactly, and it goes to the fuel numbers as well that these drivers will all be looking to hit. Lights are still on, so I would suspect that we're getting at least one more additional lap under pacing to come after this one. What do repeated cautions do to the driver mentality as well, DJ? I mean, when it comes to me, I remember just getting frustrated at times, but you know, if you're up front, if you're in a relatively good spot saving some fuel, it can't be that stressful, I guess.
Well, it normally isn't, Arjuna, when you're driving on an oval, because you're able to just take a little bit of a breather, and so many times on an intermediate or longer oval, you kind of white knuckle it a little bit, and so it's a chance to let off of it. But running on a short track such as this, it's so much built on rhythm, and the way to get around the track is to just have that nice, smooth rhythm as you run. And you lose that more and more as each and every time you get one of these cautions. And so it becomes very difficult to get back into that rhythm. And that can really throw you out of it, and it can make things very difficult for a driver.
Now, you didn't get to race Milwaukee in your time running in the Lionheart Retro Series, but when it came to short tracks in particular, talk to us about the mental/physical strain of the longer green flag runs, given just how frenetic the racing can be and just how brutal the laps are themselves.
Well, I mean, we talk about, obviously, the mental strain on this of trying to hit your marks time in and time out, and it's not like you're running a road course where you're able to have a change of scenery. It's the same thing again and again, and that can frankly get a little bit monotonous. But when you run on some of these short tracks, particularly like Milwaukee or New Hampshire, it's a real strain on the arms because there is so much weight you are going through because there's no banking to help you out.
Well, that is the third caution period that will now come to a close, and officially 5 retirements from this race. It's Matt Taylor still up the front, but with teammates behind, and now split strategies coming into play. 35 laps done. Let's listen to the engines roar as we're back underway for the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile. Tidy, coordinated start for the most part up front, but now George Anzaldo's slight older tires and fuel mileage gambles starting to compromise him. He loses out to Luis Gonzalez Nunez. Ricky Harden's not going to follow through as well, but Taylor will continue to lead them with his teammates tucked in behind.
Yeah, everybody just trying to sort themselves out here at this point, and this is what we've seen from the 37 laps or thus far. We see some absolutely frenetic action that then calms down a little bit, and then we get a little bit later on in the run, that'll start to go. But George Anzaldo making good moves here early on. He needs to try to stay out front if he wants any chance.
Teammates for Raven Lavoie Motorsports behind. The pair of Alex Guillon and David Sirra fighting amongst themselves. That is for 12th and 13th positions. You can see even though the field is slightly smaller in numbers, by no means the fighting has reduced in intensity. Christopher Hill started up the front, but now as the points leader Sean Campbell goes around the outside, that's a confident move to get up to 7th spot.
Well, I think he's a little inspired here by Ricky Harden, who just sent a big move up to the inside of George Anzaldo. Anzaldo's going to have to run that high line, and now here comes the 26 of Campbell.
3 wide into turn 3, and Sean Campbell, just like that, has found his way into the top 5. A little bit loose down low, will check up some momentum. Can anyone else get to his inside on the run into turn 1?
Looks like the number 31 there of Christopher Hill's going to try to take a little bit of a run. He's going to get it to play, and he'll be out into the lead of that pack up into 5th place. Nice move by Hill, as now we're still side by side with Anzaldo, and that's going to be, I believe, Christopher Hill now falling back a little bit more.
And Campbell back up past Christopher Hill as well, so it's all happening, it's all going on, and up towards the front, the 3 teammates, as, well, one might suspect, electing not to battle for the time being. This is smart because already Luis Gonzalez Nunez in some no man's land, and as Campbell and Hill swap back and forth once more, they're almost out of drafting range of those top 4 contenders.
Yeah, they don't want to lose that much. Now, they are going to be able to catch themselves back up. As we said, this is a little bit more of a rhythm track rather than a drafting track, so they should be able to close back in if they sort themselves out. But it doesn't look like Hill or Campbell have any intention of letting anything go.
No, at least not just yet. Rest of the field out in through turn number 3 now, as that gap has officially gone beyond the drafting range. It is now down to maybe Campbell or Hill to try and work together and send the message that let's not continue to fight. I think Campbell has finally been able to hold on for more than 2 corners, and will try and bridge that margin for the time being. Behind them, Anzaldo, as well as Ricky Harding, I think about to start battling it out amongst themselves as well. Flat banking, opportunity to send it up the inside. That's what the 7 wants to do once more.
To go here at this point. Ricky Harden got shuffled back as a result of all of that battling that we saw, trying to hold on to positions here. George going to run around the outside. Good line there for him. Now look at this. Sam Fontaine, one of the rookies, trying to make a little bit of a run, and watch out for Chris Fowler.
At number 20 has already had a couple of contacts, but somehow, seemingly, has gotten away with it. Ricky Harden on the outside loses out to the 40 Raceway number 22 as Fontaine gets on through. Now settling into a bit of a run. We have had 3 caution periods so far, 5 retirements. It's a 4-car queue that currently runs at the front, and last time by, Sean Campbell lost about 0.05 of a second to your race leaders. Luis Gonzalez Nunez is up there and in the running as well. Seems to come alive on these short tracks.
Yeah, really and truly does. He has really come alive here. And I've got to say, although it may be a little bit unorthodox, I like seeing that little poke to the inside that he's giving. It's not really costing him all that much time, and it's probably getting into the head of Mike Rasmus. He's going to be seeing that in his rear view mirrors, and it's going to be forcing him to look up from the track. And that little bit of distraction, that's going to be plenty enough.
We're 2 wide, 2 rows deep. It's Sam Fontaine past Anzaldo. It's Chris Forsyth, Chris Fowler and Ricky Harden that are doing battle slightly behind them. We're almost getting to the 1/3 marker of this race. It is really flying on by, even with those couple of caution periods. It's all just because mistakes like that punish. Ricky Harden wide out of turn number 4. Rodrigo Munoz trying to punish him in that Backfire Motorsports 09.
Yeah, he's trying to make that move up to the inside here. Harden's going to try to hold on, but it looks like momentum is going to shift over to Rodrigo Munoz. And truly here, Arjuna, even though this isn't a track like a Homestead, like a Auto Club, where if you lift out, you're going to find yourself falling down as a result of momentum, you lift out, if you have to change lines here, it's going to affect your rhythm, and it's going to take you a couple of corners to build that back up, and that's why we're seeing some of these drivers fall back through the field.
And now as Christopher Hill and Sean Campbell battle up at the front of this queue once again, they're losing more time. It's now grown above 2 seconds, this time at the line. Are we going to see the lap time reduce? No, almost 2/10 lost once more, so not an ideal situation by any means as we get ready to hit 50 laps complete. Still have 125 to go after this one. Matt Taylor, 37 laps into the run. He's only about 15, maybe 17 laps away from having to come into the pit lane by himself for a fresh tank of fuel.
Yeah, and that's going to be what the first interesting call of this race is. Not that everything else hasn't been interesting at this point, but I think for him, seeing when he has to peel off, because he is not going to want to break in by himself, if at all possible. I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe see a teammate or two come down into the pits with him, try to split the strategy as they continue to run as a pack up the front here.
Yeah, the problem is George Anzaldo, the only other driver on that strategy, is now down in 9th position, so there's no going to be coming in together necessarily there. Split by 4 seconds on track. It might not matter as Christopher Hill goes off, bounces back into the path of the 99 of David Sirwa, and then another hellacious little moment there as the laws of physics were defied for a little bit.
He just absolutely skyrocketed up into the air there at that point, and I've got to say, with aggressive as Hill has been in this race, I'm not entirely surprised that we saw him do that, putting up a big fight on the rest of the field, but a very, very unfortunate incident. We watch him coming through here, out of that turn 4, and then down into turn 2 is where he had this problem.
And because he was fighting so hard, he would have been putting a lot of load into the tire, and so eventually you're going to see, I think, the adhesion give way, and yep, that's where the laws of physics get defied. George Anzaldo does have a bit of a spin as well. I'm not sure exactly where that began.
I'm not either, as we take another look at it here at this point. Anzaldo losing it there. Got a little bit of a love tap from behind.
I don't think Rodrigo Munoz could really check up in time, to be fair. And this, I think, is a boon to the likes of Taylor, who will come into pit lane as maybe is expected, DJ.
Yeah, he needs to come in here at this point. The last thing he wants to do is take a green flag stop. What I think is interesting here is that we're seeing the reshuffling of those who sort of led the race earlier on back up to the front. Also seeing Luis Gonzalez Nunez staying out, as well as Rasmus O'Brien, Fowler, Goyan, and Sirwa. Interested to see if David's going to be able to claw his way back up forward again.
David might have some damage as well, I think. We see him there. Looks all right in that number 99. Might actually get a pretty decent shot if we jump off the back of his teammate. And tell you what, they built the Lotus 79s tough back in the day.
Yeah, they certainly did. And remember here, unlike some modern-day open-wheel cars, these cars are not built with the front clip where you're able to change the wing. It takes about 20 minutes to change the full assembly here. You've got to take off some rivets in order to be able to make the change. So if you get front wing damage, you're stuck with it over the course of the race. I
mean, old-school style repairs. It seems quite fitting for what is one of the... Is it the oldest operating motor speedway in the world? It is, isn't it? The Milwaukee Mile. So much history here.
Yeah, built, I believe, in about 1906, if it jogs my memory correctly. It is the oldest continuing operating speedway in the world. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is second only to this place.
And, you know, it's a fun place to go racing. We'll see. American Open Wheel Racing back here in 2024. Can't wait for that. But it's definitely a challenge. In its own little way. 9 degrees of banking or something through the corners. And let's check in with the weather conditions, because we get one more lap under pacing with the lights still on. Has started to slightly cool, DJ, but let's be real, not by much.
No, 106 degrees Fahrenheit, 41 degrees Celsius is still hot, no matter how you slice it. So it certainly is a situation where these drivers are still going to have to be taking care of their tires as they continue to melt, get greasy, and frankly melt on into this racing surface. Yeah, and that, again, we've seen the bias ply tires get updates over the course of our coverage here on RaceSpotTV of these drivers in the Lionheart Retro Series, but this year there's been some unpredictability often when it comes to which tires drivers are going to take and how the strategies will all play out about that. So this is now, I think, officially 6 cars having retired. Who had to come down to pit lane? Well, we saw in total Taylor, Campbell, Fontaine, Munoz, Hardin, Hearn, Ryman, Gallas, and Anzaldo. The drivers up towards the front, they probably will owe us a pit stop in maybe 20-something laps time, which does leave them on the precipice of being able to make it. We're just 2 stops from here, but never say never when it comes to the cautions interrupting the strategy. Pace car going to be off and away once more, and it's back in control of Michael O'Brien, the pole sitter, to get us underway here
for the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile. Nice tidy start at the front, slightly more slow further back, and it's going to mean the likes of Taylor, Campbell, working past Jim Herrick as they work onto the back straightaway.
Yeah, O'Brien held him there for a good long while, and I think that helped to bunch up the field a little bit here as they ran. And so that got a little bit there. Looks like Mike Rasmus, though, maybe taking a little bit of a peek down to the inside. He's looking particularly aggressive and very close to your leader, O'Brien.
I think now, given the fact that we've had the drivers up towards the front come down to pit lane, these drivers can't afford to hang about. They've just got to basically push as hard as they can. They're not worried about fuel mileage anymore. They know what to expect from the rest of this race. Of course, we're mentioning the treachery in clean air. It's actually better to be behind someone, so maybe if you are Asmas, you'd want to be in this situation, sitting behind, as the fastest lap comes in from Richie Hearn, all the way down in 13th spot.
Yeah, and that just goes to show you there's plenty of speed to be had from the entirety of this field. And to your point, Arjuna, about these drivers pushing, watch the lines coming through these corners. They are getting very, very aggressive. Late apexes here for these drivers, but they're taking it all the way down to those rumble strips on the corner. That tells me that these leaders are pushing. They are not holding anything back.
There is definitely nothing being held back now after the fuel mileage games at the start. You're watching RaceSpotTV and the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile. Don't go anywhere, reaching the halfway mark of this thriller, closing in on the end of 2023. Welcome back to RaceSpotTV and to America's legendary oval, where we're almost halfway into the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile. It's Michael O'Brien that leads at the front, but with the field still hot on his tails. It's Arjuna Kankipati alongside with DJ Clark as we work you through all of the action. And DJ, I mean, just look at the field stacked up. They aren't leaving anything out there being left to chance.
First to 14th, only separated by about 3 seconds here at this point. Everybody is slicing and dicing. We're seeing some great action farther back in the pack, and continue to see Luis Gonzalez Nunez doing that sort of signature poke-out move there, not having an effect on Mike Rasmus. As we take a look farther back, Cristobal Valenzuela getting a little bit swamped.
It's just been this sort of relentless action so far, and we haven't actually really had green flag pit stop cycles come into play just yet, but we are maybe about 10 or so laps away from that being a threat for those up towards the front. And you can see there on the left-hand side of your screen, 42 laps into the run for O'Brien and company in what is a 52-lap fuel window. Yes, we've had a couple of laps under caution, of course, but those drivers know there's a trip coming down pit lane, and you can see from up above as the field works out of the final corner, pit entry is after turn number 4, DJ.
Yeah, it's one of the sketchiest pit entries that we really have on the iRacing service. It is very, very tricky to get right. You've really got to slam on the binders. There was almost absolutely no access road to be able to get that speed down. You've got to turn in and slam on the brakes.
It's one of those things as well where with no pit limiter to rely on, you're always a little bit concerned that you are going to find yourself in a little trouble when it comes to the speed limit. The iRacing systems are automated. You're not there waiting on a human to interact with you. In towards turn 3 they'll go with these drivers again, not far away from diving onto pit lane. And included in their midst is the driver that I think has been rather impressive today, both in their speed but also sometimes in the restraint. Luis Gonzalez Nunez has not always made himself a fixture at the front at the end of races. But DJ, we do know the speed's always there. It's just about being there at the end.
Exactly, and look back to his best finish there. 4th place at Iowa. He's becoming a little bit of a short track expert. So I would expect Luis Gonzalez Nunez to stay up in this position for the majority of the race. He's running that counter line, continually poking his nose down to the inside, which I'm now starting to think may have 2 reasons. He's going to be able to try to get at the head of Mike Rasmus. It's also really preventing Chris Fowler from getting any run down to his inside.
It's a bit of a stalemate right now, and it does tend to be that the battles only really occur when we get the restarts, and so just keep your mind on that. If we get a late race restart, it's very much could be won in the opening couple of laps if there are 10 or 15 to go. There's Richie Hearn almost knocking down the wall as behind him Herrick, Munoz, Valenzuela, a couple of Elite Backfire Motorsports car, an Elite West Racing machine, and some of the 40 Racewear teammates all now losing ground to those in front. And this is important because once again, these drivers not in the draft, they are losing time, almost half a second last lap around.
Yeah, they're losing a lot of time, and they could become lapped traffic here before everything is said and done. As we take a look at that live look on the circuit, they're starting to catch up to him here. Sam Ryman and Zaldo Harden, all of them. I think if we keep going on a green flag run here, we're going to see lap traffic have to be dealt with. And car in the wall!
Oh, is that the commentator's curse, or will we keep things green? Now, the caution hasn't come out just yet, and so I think it's going to afford David Sirwa the opportunity to get back up to speed, and that is remarkable. That car, despite being all sorts of beaten up, is still at least pointed in a straight line.
That's very impressive. I mean, we're talking about an open-wheel car here. That suspension has got to be all kind of dinged up, and the fact that he's able to keep pushing here, I am impressed with that run.
So, that's a send from Sean Campbell up the inside of the other Raven Lavoie Motorsports machine. Let's go back and try and figure out what happened to poor David Sirwa.
All right, as we spool up the replay machine here, up on the outside, the car just gave out. It looks as simple as that. It looks like a lack of grip on the rear end there that he just got a little bit of oversteer and wasn't able to catch it. Let's watch the replay here as he comes through.
You just watch the hand, so there's no indication that something's wrong until the car is already gone, which is usually a pretty good indication in and of itself.
Yeah, certainly is, and an unfortunate end there for David. You know, we kind of circled him as one of those drivers to keep an eye out for his increasing ability on these ovals, and particularly on short tracks, has been coming into the fore more and more. I thought he may have been a little bit of a dark horse here today, but unfortunately car handling just catching him the wrong way.
So we're on to the 52nd lap of the run, so hypothetically this is when these drivers would come on in, and we are also now within 100 laps to go, so these drivers could pit and only have one more guaranteed pit stop to make their way to the end of the race, and suddenly it's become what, an 8-car line at the front and a sudden 6-second separation to those behind. That has really ballooned on up as they're still too wide, a couple rows deep for 9th on back, and well, these drivers very much going to end up being lap traffic at some point if they continue to fight like this. The only saving grace is the fact that we're waiting for the drivers up towards the front to come down pit lane.
Yeah, Yeah, we're just waiting for them to come on in here at this point as they are working on lap 54 of their stints up at the front of the field. Now, the driver that's going to be best positioned here, I think, is actually going to be Matt Wagner, believe it or not, who's only on about lap 48. Also, don't count out Taylor and Campbell, who are only on lap 27 of their stint.
You know something secret, the combination of Taylor and Campbell teaming up. We'll see how that is a storyline to play to the end of the year. Can see the traffic being a factor, though, as O'Brien up the inside of Anzaldo. Razmas going to follow suit as well. Luis Gonzalez-Nunez making sure to arc the corner, something that O'Brien couldn't afford to do. And now, potentially, will we see a swap for the lead, or is this just teammate holding station? Razmas covers the inside. O'Brien holds on to the lead.
All right, so that first little bit of traffic is dealt with here at this point, but it's certainly jumbling up the field farther back as we take a look out the back of the leader here at this point. Everybody just trying to figure their way out right now as they try to get by the slower car of George Anzaldo.
It is costing them a bit of time further back, but not enough time to lose the draft itself. That, though, has happened to Alex Guyon in the 08, who now, as a result, means it's a 7-car crane as Matt Wagner's gone around, and just after saying that he was in a great spot, DJ, you've done it again.
I did it. That was all on me, Matt. I apologize, my friend.
If anyone doesn't believe in the commentator's curse, let me just watch this broadcast.
Yeah, that's 2 in the space of about 5 minutes. That's really pretty incredible.
So, in through the opening corner they were running. So behind it was Taylor, and this is all, again, partially clipping the curb on the inside, maybe not running the most correct line. But really, given that David Sirois didn't bring out a yellow, why did this bring out a yellow?
Yeah, we're going to have a conversation with the iRacing stewards on that one, because that is a little bit strange. These cautions, by the way, on an oval such as this are thrown automatically, so that is what we are talking about here at this point. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, that's a little bit of a spin to win, maybe, potentially there for Matt Wagner. We'll have to see.
Well, what it will mean is guaranteed pit stops are about to happen, aren't they? Because now, logically, everybody is going to come on in. One more pit stop after this to the end. And now, let's see who wins the race off pit lane, and maybe more importantly, if you're David Sirois and in that sort of a camp, hope that you don't end up changing tires as Luis Gonzalez-Nunez is doing. Matt Wagner is doing as well, but doesn't seem like any of the other top runners are going to do the same. O'Brien is going to be alongside Razmas and Taylor in a Nazumi Graphics LC trio as they bang wheels with one another. Winning the race off pit road is going to be O'Brien. Sam Ryman stays out there to take a point for leading a lap. The rest of the cars filter out of the lane, with Sean Campbell now up to 4th.
And I've got to say here, I like this strategy of taking tires here at the moment, Arjuna. That's a really good call. Now, it's going to hurt the likes of Gonzalez-Nunez, I think, in the first stages of this stint. But as we go on a little bit in this, those tires are going to be a little bit more lively. The cars up in front of them are going to have to be dealing with worn tires. They're not going to be as good. They're going to be greasy and slippery. And Gonzalez-Nunez, maybe about 20 laps into this stint, could really come alive.
20 laps in would mean we're getting towards the next pit stop window, actually, to be fair. So that is going to set himself up quite nicely, whereas if there are drivers that take a tire change in the next pit stop cycle, it'll be less time for them to take advantage of the benefit that they would get. So it's the logic that DJ is pointing out. There are a couple of cars that are actually, I think, in front of Sam Ryman. It might just be George Anzaldo, to be fair. So Anzaldo should get onto the lead lap, where he will be able to battle as one of 17 drivers still out there and running. David Sirois back on pit lane. Remember, 24 started. We expected attrition was going to be important.
Yeah, we certainly did, and that has been the case here at this point. And as to your point about George Anzaldo, I've got to imagine George is going to opt to stay out here as Sam Ryman does pop down into pit lane. Anzaldo's only working on lap 31 of this stint, so he'll get the wave around here at this point, I think, on the next lap. And that'll be a good call for him. There it is. No, he's going to get it on this lap as the lights are out, so he'll be able to move back around into the back of the pack, get on that lead lap. Good strategy call there for George Anzaldo.
we are somewhat equalized once again when it comes to strategy, aren't we? It's going to be interesting how various drivers decide to play this. Sean Campbell's already weaving. We should be in for some fireworks on this restart, shouldn't we?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be spicy. This is the time to go.
Well, strap in then, get your popcorn ready if it's not already sat next to you on the couch, because, yes, it's Nezumi Graphics LC 1, 2, and 3, but it could be anyone's game here. With under 100 laps to play, and the pace car ready to peel off and away once more. What a wild race we've seen so far. Yes, attrition's played its part. This time O'Brien doesn't wait too much longer. Does catch out Luis Gonzalez Nunez, Chris Fowler, fellow Nezumi Graphics LC teammates. Going to make it 4 of those machines now inside of the top 5. Teammates may have to work together here as we filter into turn 3.
Yeah, that was just good heads up there from Chris Fowler. Caught Gonzalez Nunez napping a little bit and was able to take that advantage out of the inside. Here's Matt Taylor, who got caught out just a little bit as well. O'Brien and Rasmus starting to form a little bit of a breakaway at the front.
We did see that the teammates were willing to not fight too hard. I would suspect that we'll see probably something similar going on over the course of this run as they try to build up the margin to the likes of Nunez, who, of course, with those fresh tires, will be hoping the balance of the car comes into play and comes in pretty quickly. Once again, it's going to be those for about 10th on back that have got to make sure that DJ, they don't battle too hard, and they make sure they work together and keep track of those in front.
Well, the problem here at this point is Gonzalez Nunez has already lost 1.2 seconds to the rest of this field, and so we've already got a big breakaway here, and now we've got another yellow car spinning in the back.
Oh, it's Matt Wagner, second caution that he'll bring out, and this one has taken Sam Ryman involved in it as well. And as they pick themselves out of the grass, it's back out for the pace car. And Michael O'Brien will be saying, you know what, not too bad. I can chill for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, he'll be able to just relax here a little bit. And remember, this will be able to extend that fuel stint for these drivers. Oh, Wagner again, or not Wagner, excuse me. I know it was Matt Wagner in the number 2 machine, just losing it. It looks like the rear end of that car wanting to break away on him. He got up a little bit high in the groove, trying to come around the outside here at this point, and the car just said nope. Very similar to what we saw from David Sirwa earlier.
Oh, and then as Sam Ryman spins and trying to avoid it, I tell you what, it could have been a lot closer with some of the other drivers as well that took avoiding action, but now we slow things down once more. And I'll be honest, I am starting to lose track of the number of cautions that we have. I'm hoping that we're not going to get anywhere near the 12 that we had back in Season 1, but I believe we're now up to 6.
I think that's right by my math. I think that is right. And frankly, unfortunately, that last caution that we had, not the most recent one, but the one before that, that's the one that's unfortunate because that equalized the strategy, Arjuna. And we were on for a very fascinating strategic race. That's kind of all out the window. Everybody's on the same strategy here at this point.
Yeah, you know, that's a valid point as well. I guess in some ways it means that we'll find out who's a bit more willing on track to make things happen, but at the same time, when you get the opportunity to have a proper thriller on strategy, it is always a bit of a disappointment when that does not get to be borne out on track. Pace car lights are still on, which means we will circulate for just a little bit longer in this condition. I saw Tyler Graf jumping into the YouTube chat, not out on track, but there's a very good reason for that, DJ. He's out at a concert tonight, so he gets one of the passes for this round. He uses a drop week for this round of the championship, and we'll see the number 98 at some point in the future.
Yeah, we'll see him back here in that. And I've got to say, great dedication to the league to be at a concert and checking in on the race. That's some pretty heavy dedication from one of the most dedicated drivers here in the Lionheart Retro Series.
100% very dedicated. But I was going to say, you know, it just could be in between the opening act and the main show. What do they call them? Feature?
Yeah, the feature event. Yeah.
You know what I mean.
I gotcha.
English has been hard today. Boy, I spent 4 hours. I woke up straight into 4 hours of meetings. Again, I can't even say meetings properly. Yeah, just you know, fun days at the office. But I think this has been an interesting one so far. The 6 cautions have left the Nezumi graphics 1, 2, and 3 left unperturbed, and Sean Campbell's a little bit concerned about that situation, as ever, showing his ability to multitask. DJ, he's in the YouTube chat once again.
I don't know how he does it, Arjuna. I really don't. But, you know, his point is that he made here in the YouTube chat is that he thinks this could be a graphics 1, 2, 3, a Nezumi graphics 1, 2, 3. And I frankly have to agree with him a little bit. If you're running in formation here at this point, you're going to be able to stop any attack coming up from behind you by sheer numbers alone. And that's going to be a huge benefit here for these drivers. This is going to be a hard nut to crack here for Sean Campbell.
I think it's going to be an interesting one as well, given that we're all, like DJ mentioned, equalized in terms of strategy. Who's going to end up being the most aggressive? Pace car will peel off and away, and for what is now the 6th time, a caution period will come to a close, and Michael O'Brien's becoming a veteran of restarts. Is he going to hold them, or is he going to go early? You know it will be coordinated amongst the teammates, and here we go. Campbell's got to watch out. Fowler's on the outside and trying to work through into the opening corner. Not going to happen this time by. Oh, but it was a sneaky attempt. I'll give them that.
Yeah, it was, but look at the speed here that Campbell was able to carry out at turn 2. He is absolutely flying here at this point, all over the back now of Matt Taylor.
He's going to try and put the pressure on, and we know that dirty air does tend to help the balance of the car with the setup that they are dealing with. Car is getting somewhat separated and filtered out for the time being. We are now down to, again, 17 out there and circulating on the track. It does mean that any sort of worries about traffic, I think for the most part, DJ, have gone out the window. It's going to be pedal to the metal from here. It's go, go, go.
Yeah, it certainly is. Again, a little bit of a break there in the field. That's going to be back with Wagner and Zaldo and Suop, 3 drivers that we know have a little bit of damage on the car. We're going to have to see if there's any residual problems from them. Sam Ryman now coming out of pit lane as well. If we stay green, that could, again, be another storyline here with lap traffic.
We'll see if Sean Campbell is able to drive in racing conditions and also jump into the chat as well. Last time he sent a message was just as the caution period came to an end. He did a rather disturbing thing on Monday, DJ. You're usually commentating on Sean in the Precision Racing League in an LMP3 car. Now, the disturbing thing wasn't the fact that he continued his 100% streak of victories. The disturbing thing was the fact that when he came across the line to win, A, he was watching the broadcast while doing so, and then B, picked up his camera, panned it across the room to you know what's coming, a picture of Nicolas Cage.
I mean, just absolutely remarkable. Not only his sense of humor, because you've got to love the commitment to the bit, but just the fact that he's able to multitask like that, really quite incredible.
It's just not fair. He's already talented enough, can jump between car to car, and now we let him meme and entertain us at the same time. It doesn't work out like that for all of us. Herrick up the inside of Ricky Hardin. Valenzuela being challenged by Richie Hearn. Once again, though, these drivers 9th on back, getting separated and losing ground to those in front.
Yeah, the gap's now about 2 seconds here at this point. There is just a pace deficit, it looks like, between these packs of cars. No matter how hard they try to push, they are just not able to close on in. And these are some cars that we've talked about that don't have any damage on them.
Was that a car that had spun? It very well could have been. That might have been Sam Ryman trying to get back up to speed. And now that means I don't think we have to worry about traffic too much longer. Let us go ahead and take a look at the replay, because I did see a puff of smoke. Jason Brophy's been sending me messages about puffs of smoke around the track, and unfortunate end to the day for the 63 there.
Yeah, and Sam doing the right thing, just getting down to that access road as quickly as possible, getting out of the way here of the leaders. Very, very heads-up play from Sam Ryman. An unfortunate end of the day there for him. He looks like he'll come home in about 18th place.
Still maybe has the chance to try and get back out onto track and accumulate up some points, but as we focus back up to what we expect now to be very much anyone's game in the 8-car train for the lead, it's O'Brien that still runs at the front. Razmas second, Taylor third, Campbell and Fowler the rest of the top 5. And as you look on the left-hand side of the screen, once again, it's the team affiliations, the way they can work together. Nezumi Graphics LC have 4 drivers in the top 5 that can be talking over the radio and be talking about what they want to do to box out that number 26.
Yeah, exactly. Just try to get him out. And I think right now the main battle to watch here is this one between Campbell and Chris Fowler. Nezumi Graphics LC want to try to get that number 20 machine up into 4th place and create a virtual impenetrable wall between themselves and your championship points leader.
On board with Chris Fowler and the Donate Live camera on the 20. Just watch the different line that he's running, trying to find a bit more speed. Remember, it's only 9 degrees of banking through the corner, and it's not like you can necessarily find too many different lines at any point. Sean Campbell was saying that you can only really pass around the outside if someone's trying to hold it down on the inside, but that's why the drivers aren't really committing to hold the inside. Now maybe a chance though for Campbell to slip on forward to 3rd. Taylor a bit wide off of turn number 2.
Yeah, made a little bit of a mistake there, but he's not able to get the run coming off into 2 or down into 3. A lucky break there for Matt Taylor. That had disaster written all over it.
And this might have some disaster as well. O'Brien has to feather the throttle out of turn 4, but his teammate lifts, gives him a bit of respite in towards the opening corner once more. The laps are ticking away. We're now under 70 to go. We are 20 laps away, DJ, from drivers being able to pit to get to the end.
Yeah, that's going to be the big crucial thing here, and we're about 30 laps away, I would say 32, 33 laps away from, at this point, having the full-on have to come down into pit lane type of situation that we are running with. So at this point, for the likes of O'Brien, Rasmus, and Taylor, it's just a waiting game and trying to keep Sean Campbell behind.
And as they close in on David Sirois just up the road, who is very much off the speed. He ran a 25.6 last time by. That's 1.4 seconds off. He is going to have to pull aside and let these drivers get on through safely. He won't be looking to cause any sort of trouble. And in fact, I think has pulled his way all the way to the inside. Couldn't even really see him in shot. That's the type of driver that you and type of action that you expect from a driver like David Sirois. It leaves these drivers on their merry way for the time being. Check back in with those behind who, well, they're still hosting their own little mad scramble, but now effectively just for 9th position.
Yeah, this is the other battle here at this point to keep our eyes on. It's going to be Ricky Harden leading the way. Valenzuela, Hearn, Herrick, and Guyon there, the rest of that field. And they're scrapping it out here as Cristobal Valenzuela sends it up the inside.
Oh, and now a loop around.
No.
Valenzuela's in the wall. DJ, come on.
I'm going to stop talking. I'm absolutely going to stop talking. It's the 3rd one tonight.
To be fair, if that's a commentator's curse, then a lot of things are commentator's curses, but just not being ideal as the 7th caution of the night comes out, and here's a look at the reason why.
And it's what we've seen a couple of times here at this point, Arjuna. I think really and truly what that is trying to take a little bit too aggressive of a late apex. Comes down into the corner here, and it looks like he just tries to throw the car into the corner, try to get a little bit of rotation there to get it down to that bottom line. And unfortunately for the Backfire Motorsports driver, his rear tires were just not having any of it.
And I think Jim Herrick tried to then roll off after that, but too much damage on his car. And I was wondering about this. Who comes down the pit lane, who does not? And it seems to be 2 drivers have decided something different. Michael O'Brien and Luis Gonzalez Nunez will stay out there. I'm most intrigued by the fact that teammates have decided differently here.
Well, I think at this point, it is less about the team here getting a win, and it's more about trying to defeat Sean Campbell. And so I think by splitting the strategy, that clearly shows me what these drivers are thinking about here tonight. It is try to split this strategy as much as possible and really and truly find any way to defeat the number 26.
You can't. Sean Campbell is already, like we said earlier, maybe has one hand on the championship, but just want to make his life a little bit more difficult in these closing stages. He has technically still has his 100% streak alive in the Buckhager Sports Car Series on Monday nights, but has missed 1 race of that season, which means it's not perfect. It's just the fact that every race that he's competed in, he's also won. It's just not fair. We talked about the talent level. We should be fair, DJ, as well. This does seem like it's a setup which can be slightly difficult to drive at times. It requires you to be precise throughout the course of the balance shifting on the car.
Yeah, you've got to be very careful with it, and it looks like that everything is relatively hunky-dory when we start out, that we're not really having that rear breakaway, that sort of slow snap oversteer that we're getting when the car is heavy and laden with fuel. But the longer we go into the run, the lighter these cars get, the more that rear of the car just wants to slowly break away from you. So it's something that these drivers need to be continually thinking about, especially as we get into the final stages of this race and all fuel tanks are going to be light.
And again, fixed setup, so there's no tweaking with the balance of the car. It's all just show up and deal with what you've been given. George Anzaldo is currently scored in third, but he's peeling off towards the pit lane and then decides, no, you know what? I'm going to stay out there, and I think we'll see the lights off on the pace car this time by, which means 3 drivers have elected to stay out there. The rest will owe us a pit stop, but DJ, if we get some more cautions, never say never, someone may try to make it to the end.
Someone may try to make it to the end. That's going to be about a 75-lap stint, though, that they try to do. That's going to be it's going to be almost nearly a 90-lap stint that they're going to try to do for the likes of O'Brien and Gonzalez-Nunez. George Anzaldo a little bit closer there. He's only got to do about 85 laps, but I don't think they're going to be able to make that.
I think the question is more the likes of Razmas and company. 61 or so. Sounds large. Cautions could end up shaking things up. Once again, the pace car is ready to peel off and away, and hopefully it's for the final time tonight. It would be great to get a proper green flag run under our belts here. It requires the drivers to keep it on the straight and narrow, though. We are inching up towards that maximum caution count back in season 1 of 12. Back underway, and this time with no teammates at the front really able to coordinate. O'Brien just goes when he wants. Nunez sees behind him as Razmas and Anzaldo swap back and forth. Campbell makes his way forward as well. Let's see where the momentum shifts things up for those that have come down the pit lane.
Well, and we've seen Luis Gonzalez-Nunez be very, very good about this, but Anzaldo going down another position here. Remember, we think that car may have a little bit of damage on it, so not surprising to see him losing slots like this. And
also probably just be thinking about the fact that he is one of the few drivers who have not come down the pit lane. Here comes the battle, though, between Nunez and Razmas. You would not expect Nunez to give this one up easily. We know just how quick he can be on the short tracks, and the outside seems to be where you want to get passes done. Razmas, the defending champion, on the inside, gives just enough room to that number 14, but gets on through, I think, as they head off into turn 1. The number 1 is clear. Sean Campbell may follow through as well.
Yeah, and it looks like Nunez tried to be able to poke his nose back down to the inside there to cover off Sean Campbell, but it just wasn't working out. Campbell's now going to have to stay in line here. Nunez very close to the back here of Mike Rasmus, but that's going to check him up a little bit. Watch for Campbell.
Off of the corner, these 5 still very much together. Fowler is in the mix, and then behind them, field starting to show its attrition rate. 24 started, 14 still running. Only 13 of them on the leading lap. Remember, the magic number, 50 or so to go. That's where we know drivers that pit can make it to the end. It's only O'Brien, it's only Nunez and Anzaldo that we know still have to make those mandatory pit stops. Everyone else might still have the opportunity to eke it out on fuel. The difference is not just going to be the time that they spend down on pit lane between these two strategies, but TJ, it's the amount of time that they spend on low fuel loads.
Exactly. As we've said a couple of times, the lighter these cars get, the faster they go. And so if you're able to maximize the time that you need to spend on light fuel, that is going to be a boon to you. The only drawback is, as we've talked about, is that these cars get very squirrely on a light fuel load. That rear end wants to break away, so you have to be absolutely in control of the car to be able to make it work.
I mean, just looking backwards from your race leader, you see just how much they are on the limit as well. How much the car is just pointed and with purpose in through the corners. Here are the lifts, the brief blips of the throttle that O'Brien has to feather that momentum through the corner. There's no give, it's all take right now from these machines. 54 laps for them to go, will become 53 at the line. Chris Fowler has hung strong, Sam Fontaine has not, and now it's 6 at the front, and then the train for 7th, 8th, and 9th behind. Hardin, Fontaine, and Anzaldo will be in their own fight. Nunez still looking down low and trying to slide on forward to seconds.
Yeah, thought about a little bit of a move there. I thought he might have just enough momentum to be able to make that work to get the position back from Mike Rasmus. Now he's going to wash up a little bit wide, and again, Sean Campbell licking his lips.
If you are the points leader, Sean Campbell, how aggressive are you going to be? He was saying earlier that he's in a fine enough position. He's not going to lose the points lead. He's not going to put himself in a precarious spot by any means. After this is a race where he'll feel a lot more confident and a lot more comfortable. Imola, a road race, knowing you'll be able to control the pace where passing is going to be difficult. And then, well, after that, DJ, it's right back to this sort of a pack race as we head over to Nashville.
Yeah, and that one's going to be particularly interesting. Another one where we've got to watch out for a little bit of tire wear as well. Going to be pretty fascinating to see how that's going to play out. That could be a real danger race for the likes of Sean Campbell. As you said, pack racing does tend to brew at Nashville. We could see a few incidents.
I'm still trying to remember if I actually remember what happened at Nashville or if I blocked that from my mind in any of the races that I've commentated on there. Because, again, attrition's played its part here. 24 started, 14 left running. Poor David Sirois out there running lap times a whole second and a half slower than everyone. He is going to be maybe a good 5 laps down by the end of this race. It might also just mean that there's a potential for some traffic to be a factor as well. You take a look at the track map, the leaders on the back straightaway are closing on the back of Richie Hearn as well as David Sirois, and in front of them some more clean air before more pockets of traffic.
Yeah, they're going to catch up to him here at this point, and thankfully Lionheart Retro is a series that really prides itself on good traffic management, especially on the ovals. Oh, as Campbell's got a little bit of a look.
Has a look, but doesn't force the issue just yet. Bit of a bobble, and these are those opportunities, those brief moments where you see if drivers are going to go desperately for moves.
Yeah, and I think here at this point, that was a hope from Sean Campbell. Wanted to be able to send it there, but didn't want to risk it. And normally I would say that when we get into the final 10 laps or so of the race, that would be the moment when we'd seen it. But this wide arcing corner here that we keep seeing from Luis Gonzalez Nunez, it's just opening the door here for Sean Campbell. But Campbell's heads up enough. He recognizes he doesn't want to send that car because he knows that door is going to close.
It's all about, I think, right now for Nunez, just trying to find a way to close the margin. But here comes the overspeed. Campbell breathes off the throttle, though. There's the heads-up nature that you'd expect from a points leader. If you're Rasmussen, you're going to start to look for the lead, though, because he's been riding on the coattails of O'Brien for so long. And let's not forget that if at some point Mike Rasmussen thinks he's at a decent number on fuel and he's going to be able to ride relatively comfortably on his strategy to the end, he may be able to leapfrog his teammate. As we work past the traffic, ends up being a non-factor, and both Sirois and Richie Hearn pull to the side of the track.
Well, you kind of made my point for me there as, well, it may have been negated there for a second, as now Campbell's going to take another look up to the inside here of Nunez.
It's going to try, but again, not going to make it stick. Outside gives the better run off the corner. Nunez holds on, but each time they get side by side, it's another chance for Campbell to make things work.
Yeah, exactly. But to your point that you mentioned a little bit ago about Mike Rasmus, I don't think he needs to make this pass. He knows that no matter what, O'Brien has to make another pit stop as we're closing in on lap 46 of O'Brien's stint. So he can just wait around behind here. He's content. He doesn't have any pressure from behind from the number 14. So I think for Rasmus, he's playing the long game.
I guess the concern just becomes, as Nunez almost runs into the wall, if we get a caution, are we back on equal playing fields across the board with what would then be 40 to go? The cars clipping that curb, exiting out of turn 3 and towards the line. Now 133 laps in the books, 133 miles down. 5 cars at the front now hold a 4.5 second buffer over those behind. Let's be real, these 6 drivers have very much been the class of the field.
Yeah, they really have been. Since the drop of the green flag, it has been them the entire way through. It's just been very, very conscientious driving from all of them. We haven't seen all that many mistakes. We've seen good heads-up play, and we've seen that patience that we've talked about that you needed to be able to have in a race such as this.
A bit different to what we're seeing back here, isn't it? Where Ansaldo, Harden, Munoz, and Guyon all very much getting on top of each other. Sanfontaine is in that equation as well. 41 to go. These drivers will probably be okay in terms of staying out of traffic consideration, but if pit stop cycles happen, they may just be dropped into little battles up and down through the field. 40 laps to go, tension still rising, and Chris Fowler has lost some time to make it 5 now at the front. Car still looks relatively clean, but out of that crucial drafting range.
Yeah, I think he just made a couple of mistakes there, ran a little bit wide, had to catch the car a little bit, and you can see how much he's pushing there, actually touching the rumble strips down on the inside. With the cars getting lighter and lighter at this point in the stint, that's going to be a little bit dangerous for him. He is trying to gain that time back up.
He's going to be hustling, but maybe it's all going to be in a bit of vain. All it takes is losing momentum once for things to come unstuck, and as you see these drivers still about as perfectly as they can run. With 38 laps to go, Michael O'Brien has hit that 52-lap number where we expect him to be into pit lane at any lap from this point forward. The caution periods that we've have had will help. It's also an important marker for us to see. If O'Brien can go as far as 60 laps, DJ, it means that the likes of Razmas and Campbell might be able to do that as well.
Yeah, I certainly think they could. And once again, the problem's going to be here for Gonzalez, Nunez, and O'Brien that they're going to need to come down into pit lane as they're now working on lap 53 of the stint. The longest we've seen anybody go up to this point is 59 laps. That was Chris Fowler.
Here we go around the outside for Campbell and gets it done. The championship leader up onto the podium spots, and with what he said was the only way to make something happen. Can he get it done as well for second? Now looks to go to the outside of the defending champion.
And this is where it's going to get tricky. This is what he came up against last time around, is this Nezumi Graphics LC lockdown in front of him, where they're going to be able to position both cars to be able to block off an attack from Sean Campbell.
This, I think, is actually where Campbell needs to make his move, because we keep talking about how clean air is sometimes more treacherous. Well, O'Brien's about to head off to pit lane, and Mike Razmas is about to be left in clean air for the first time in who knows how long. Razmas will look to the inside. This, I think, is an indication. O'Brien down to pit lane, surely at the end of this lap.
Yeah, I think that's a team call there, that he wanted to let him out of the way. And now look at this. Here comes Campbell.
Opportunity, but not going to be alongside. Not going to be brave enough into the braking zone either. Into turn 3. Status quo remains, but the 45 of O'Brien, that yellow submarine, not coming down to the lane, saving some fuel for the time being.
I think that may have been a situation where he couldn't get down to pit lane there, Arjuna. He absolutely couldn't have got the spin.
Razmas, the defending champions, looped it, and the caution's out. This changes everything.
This is it. Everybody's going to be on the same strategy. It's going to be about a 29-lap shootout to the end.
Well, you couldn't script it, could you? Except you could. The defending champion, just after being locked in that battle, makes an uncharacteristic mistake. And what did we say? Being deposited in clean air for the first time in how long? It was ripe for error, and here's a look at what happened.
Car just got squirrely as he got on to power there. I don't really have any answer for what happened. It looked like it just absolutely snapped on him. Let's ride on board here with Sean Campbell. Let's see if we can get a better idea. It was the slow, lazy spin. That car started to break away on him, and that was squiggling that you saw was him trying to catch the car.
There was no indication of a lift there from Sean Campbell. He was planted to the floor. He was not lifting there. Now, this is the crucial pit cycle. Everyone has to hit their marks, and hopefully not many going up on the jacks. Matt Taylor gets the front tires being changed. It's a 4.8-second stop for Campbell. He will blitz them. He will be clear on the race off a pit exit. Behind, it is going to be about 6 seconds apiece for the rest of the machines. Taylor from Razmas, from Nunez, who jumps in front of Fowler and O'Brien.
Now, here's the interesting thing here, Arjuna. We've got two drivers up at the front of the field in the form of Sam Fontaine and Ricky Harden, who opted to stay out. this could get a little bit interesting. Also seeing the likes of them just trying to make this work. This could present a little bit of a wild card here in the rest of this standings, as they may be able to make it to the end.
Well, they can make it to the end hypothetically, but I don't think they can do so at speed. That's the question. And Fontaine, I think, is going to come down to the lane. Going to be followed in by, I believe, Richie Hearn and David Sirah. It means that Ricky Harden does indeed stay out there. I don't even think Sam Fontaine got a point for leading a lap.
No, he didn't. I think that could have been a little bit of just a call that he realized he wasn't able to make it on fuel and decided to come on in for a splash and dash.
So, 30 to go now. It means legitimately about 12 minutes of racing once we go green once more. Pace car lights are still on, meaning that we won't go green this time by. It will be, at best, next time by. With 24 starters, now whittled down to 12 on the leading lap. But let's be real, let's be realistic. It's down to 6 at the front.
Yeah, it really and truly is, and we're going to have to see what kind of spoiler here Ricky Harden can play. If he's able to run hard and keep going compared to the rest of this field, even if he can't stay in the front, Arjuna, how much is he going to be in the way of some of these drivers? Is he going to hold up Sean Campbell to the point that Matt Taylor, Mike Rasmus are going to be able to make a run on it?
Just listen. You hear that?
Yeah, he's lifting. He's cutting it out.
He's lifting, he's clutching, he's doing whatever he can to save a little bit of fuel right now, and that's all he can do. Remember, he's got to make the fuel last. Going on 62 or 63 laps. It's going to be a tall order. And it means now that we get ready to do it once more. Lights are officially off, and we know that this race could be won on this restart. Could be one on the next restart if we get more cautions. But net race leader right now, excluding Ricky Harden, Sean Campbell's in front of the Nezumi Graphics LC team.
Let's see if he can make this play as we come around to green here at this point. Harden down to the inside. Maybe that's an indication he's going to let these leaders on by.
Well, I'm getting nervous. Christian Horner's leg somewhere is tapping away subconsciously. As Ricky Harden doesn't dawdle, we're back underway for the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile, and it's a nice tidy run from those up front. Luis Gonzalez-Nunez somewhat caught napping, and Chris Fowler's going to try and take advantage. Sean Campbell immediately, though, is going to go for the lead. Ricky Harden in that number 7 doesn't fight it too hard, and now crucially, there's a car between the race leader and those trying to chase him down.
Yeah, that's mega. And the other thing here is Mike Rasmus lost a position back to Luis Gonzalez-Nunez. That's another huge blow.
Who's going to be brave here? Fowler loses out to O'Brien. Coming out onto the back straightaway. Look at the draft being attempted to be broken by Sean Campbell. Does not want to be helping out those behind. Nunez gets past Matt Taylor for what is technically second on track as they close up on Ricky Harden, but their margin to the leader now over half a second on track.
Yeah, this is going to be tricky here. They have got to dispatch with Ricky Harden as quickly as possible here as we ride on board with Mike Rasmus. He is in the worst position as possible right now as he tries to close on in down in 5th place. He has lost massively off this restart. And
the fastest lap going the way of Sam Fontaine just continues to indicate just how important the draft is. Rasmus almost washes up in the dirty air into the wall, but avoids doing so. Remember, the spin might be weighing on his mind. Michael O'Brien, fastest of them all on that 150th lap of the race. We have now officially got 25 laps to go. Still don't think Ricky Harden is good on fuel, and he's just let Luis Gonzalez-Nunez go at the front. It's now going to be on. Here comes Nunez for the race lead.
Now the question's going to be is how hard does Sean Campbell fight this? Remember, championship-wise, he's not in a battle with Luis Gonzalez-Nunez. Luis Gonzalez-Nunez has nothing to lose here at this point. He just wants a win.
He wants his first win as well. He looks to the inside, in through turn 3, 9 degrees of banking, but one driver going to the point. It's a new race leader. It's Luis Gonzalez-Nunez.
And here comes Campbell on the fight back. He's not going to wait around on it. Campbell's got the opportunity. He's going to go back to the point, and welcome to the party, Matt Taylor down to the inside.
Back and forth we go, and while the eyes of the boxing world focus on the heavyweight title this weekend, we're focused on this HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile. Our heavyweight swinging back and forth. Nunes very, very wide. Now going to drop behind potentially Michael O'Brien as well. As a challenge for the race lead emerges, Matt Taylor now goes to the point.
And this is where those gloves are off. Campbell very wide and high there coming off the corner, but he's going to carry enough momentum to have a little bit of a look here coming down into 3.
It's nervous times right now up and down. We thought it might just be 6 or 7, but at least for the time being, 12 cars still very much in this formation. It's Taylor that leads them though to the line. Once more Campbell, we've said and he said, the outside is the place to get it done. But the changes for the lead so far, DJ, have come up the inside. The 26, though, looks to be committed on that higher groove.
Yeah, he is, and Ricky Harden not letting off as well. He's there in 3rd place as he continues to run, but here comes the run from Campbell, just not able to get that grip to play. We look back further as Luis Gonzalez Nunez continues to lose positions.
All of these cars fighting for grip right now as well. Yes, the temperatures have dropped in the air and on the track itself, but grip still somewhat at a premium. Luis Gonzalez Nunez is still running in that 6th position, but after the charge in the early stages of this restart, it's slightly come unstuck. They might go 3 wide for a moment. Taylor covers down low. Campbell searches up high. And Michael O'Brien, pole position winner, back up towards the front.
Yeah, and this is where that team coordination is going to come into play a little bit. We ride on board with Ricky Harden, impressed with his ability to keep running here at this point, as now keeping the look to the outside is Sean Campbell. He may lose a position here to O'Brien.
Important as well here for the teammates to work together and give each other some draft. O'Brien's trying to box out the 26, but the WMP racing car is not going to give any ground just yet. It's out of turn number 2. O'Brien has it for the time being. Ricky Harden, 45th lap of the run. 18 laps to go. Still trying to battle. Now up to the podium on the inside.
He's going to hold it there, but he almost washes out there a little bit on Campbell. I think Campbell's going to be able to keep a little bit momentum on the outside. That's exactly what's going to happen. Side by side behind him here as we look out as well. 2 by 2. Noah's Ark into the corner.
Where do you even want to look amongst those still running? From up above, we can see those in contention. Campbell chops the nose off of that number 7. Behind, you can see the send coming from Razmas's Luis Gonzalez Nunez. I tell you what, that was brave around the outside, just getting onto the throttle nice and early. Peels Ricky Harden off the corner, and now into turn 1. Compromises the number 7.
Yeah, not able to get that run, and look at that speed there from Luis Gonzalez Nunez, but Harden recognizes it, defends it well, lets the car slide up the track just enough to hold it. Is now it almost looks like O'Brien was trying to take a look there on Matt Taylor.
It's 15 to go this time at the line. DJ throwing you on the spot. Who comes out on top?
I think right now you've got to look at Matt Taylor. He is in control of this race. He's going to be hard to beat here at this point.
Mike Razmas with a big send up the inside of Luis Gonzalez Nunez, but DJ is right. Matt Taylor is cool, calm, and composed right now, and holding off not just Sean Campbell, but his teammate Michael O'Brien as well. It's taken almost half the field, leaving us for this race to really pick up in action. 3 wide, almost at the line.
And that's Alex Guyon. Where did he come from? He's back into this equation as well. This is incredible.
Alex Guyon has been through the war, so is Chris Fowler, let's not forget. He didn't qualify very well. He's at 14 positions so far. Fanning out 3 wide into turn number 3. O'Brien's now going to have to chop the nose off of Campbell as we filter out of turn 4, because they are really hounding the back now of that number 8 that leads them once more at the line.
Yeah, and I've got to wonder here just how much team communication is going on between Taylor and O'Brien trying to hold off the likes of Campbell, because O'Brien looks like he's got speed, but Taylor's just holding that defensive line as they run through the corners.
At what point do the team affiliations go out the window?
5 laps to go.
Okay, so we've still got 8 laps before we get there, and that would be within the point of no return, a point with which the caution would very much end the race. We've got traffic as well. We've got traffic as well to play its part. Dirty air potentially for the leader, but Matt Taylor has managed this clean air so far so well. 11 to go at the line, and they're still stacked up behind the Nezumi Graphics LC MadWorks entry.
Yeah, they just can't get on by Campbell, though, trying to take a little bit of a look down to the inside of Michael O'Brien. That's not going to play, but once again, teamwork coming into action here between Taylor and O'Brien, cutting off any attack here from that number 26.
Juking behind as Nunez tries to get forward, his path blocked off by our defending champion, Mike Razmas. The points leader, Sean Campbell's up the inside. of O'Brien as we come to the line. Traffic pulls out of the way and the caution's flown. And Chris Fowler's in the wall in pit lane, and Sam Fontaine's been mixed up as well.
Oh, heartbreak there for Fontaine, who was running very well. Remember, he was one of the drivers who set the fastest laps of the race off of that last restart. But oh boy, Arjuna, here we go. It is game time. And
so here's Fowler with a big wiggle, nowhere for Fontaine to go. And it's another hellacious one as Fontaine's trying the Roche Chastain to get back to pit lane, but it's not going to work out for him, unfortunately. This means, with 10 to go on the board right now, I think we're going to restart with maybe 6 to go.
I think that's about right. And again, it's just that oversteer coming into play, that slow, lazy spin that we've seen time and time again coming back to play for these drivers. And that's exactly what caught out Fowler.
Do you want to change your pick right now? Do you still think Taylor has got enough, given that it has been these restarts that have been the most chaotic?
The restarts have been the most chaotic, but we've seen the leader be able to get a jump off of these restarts, and I've got to think with the timing here from Nezumi Graphics LC up in front right now between Taylor and O'Brien, they're going to be in communication, they're going to time this right, and with the laps shrinking down, they may be able to put a damper on any attack here from Sean Campbell.
Once again, team affiliations listed on that left-hand side. I will say it's great to be back at Milwaukee. I love this track. It always puts on a thriller, but having been here since season 2, I think we might skip this for another 5 years after this.
I think we might need to for the end of this race alone. I might need to get a little bit of heart pressure medication, some blood pressure medication for it. But it's been scruffy to get here to this point, Arjuna. But Milwaukee doing what Milwaukee does best, which is putting on a thriller at the end.
We've got Gateway coming up. I was going to say on, and then I realized I don't remember the date in January. January the 4th in 2024. That's our penultimate race of the season. And so that's a long way away when you really think about it. Somehow crazy to think it's already October, but when we go racing for that HyperX Gateway 150, that's the final chance on the short tracks to go and make an impression before it's the High-Speed Thriller Auto Club to close out the season. Light R still on the pace car, which means at best we will restart with 6 to go. I think it means that maybe 1 or 2 laps. That's our window before we hit the point of no return.
Yeah, I know. I think that's about it as well. We're going to have to see how this plays out and see exactly when those lights are going to come off on the safety car. Looks like coming down into pit lane here at this point. I think that's David Sirwa, probably a little bit more of a precautionary pit stop, just wanting to get out of the way of all of these drivers, considering he is multiple laps down.
Again, though, this is where his perseverance is going to be rewarded. Maybe not with a top 10, unless there is more drama in these closing stages, but for someone involved in the championship, yes, you have drop rounds to use, but DJ, you don't want to be reliant on them, especially in these closing stages. David Sirwa doing whatever he can to eke out every single point from this race.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that is going to pay dividends when the championship ends. It's that stick-to-itiveness, that desire to keep going. We've really got to give him credit here.
So, once again, get ready. Pace car off and away. And this time it's Matt Taylor. And maybe for the final time, gets ready to go. It's been a scruffy road to get here, but now just 6 laps to run in the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile. Sean Campbell jinks up the inside of Michael O'Brien, but it's for second that a swap around happens in through the opening corner. Ricky Hardin's gamble on fuel may just have paid off with this late race caution. He's trying to battle for a podium spot as well, but it's Taylor clear for the race lead towards 5 laps to run.
And that is absolutely crucial for Sean Campbell, being able to get that move up into the inside. He doesn't have a teammate now, does Matt Taylor, to fight with him. It is mano-a-mano between Taylor and Campbell.
Still, as Hardin and O'Brien cycle their way around for third, it's with a hellacious wreck into the wall. Ricky Hardin, Alex Guyon, Luis Gonzalez Nunez, and maybe Mike Rasmas all get mixed up in that. I'm not sure if the race has come to an end, but it might be Matt Taylor seeing the checkered flag first.
It very well might be, but my goodness gracious, again, just that oversteer that we keep seeing there, catching out Ricky Harden at that point, the car just seeming to snap on him out of nowhere.
And so as he disappears from the live pictures, there's the replay, and I say, the Nezumi Graphics LC car that ended up in the catch fencing, that's a hellacious blow. It was shaping up to be a fascinating end. It was not to be. A look from up above, and we'll slow things down at this incident in through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, and there you can see the rear end of the car breaking away. Ricky just trying to hold on to it there, counter steer into the car. And unfortunately, if you try to do that at speed and the car just doesn't have the grip to do it, it is going to snap like we just saw.
So hard in the wall there for Ricky Harden. And as we wait to see if the lights will drop off on the pace car next time by, we'll find out if we get a one-lap shootout or not.
Well, if it is a one-lap shootout, it's going to be very close here between Campbell. Taylor got a great jump on that last restart, and he was able to catch, or Campbell was able to catch Michael O'Brien napping, but Taylor once again controlled the field, and I was very impressed with his getaway off of the green.
It was a bit of a surprise to see that O'Brien slightly got jumped there, but I think it did go to show that there was less team communication. Sean Campbell, unfortunately, has come in to spoil the fun. It's over. In Sim, they are not being given the 2 to go signal. It means that this race will finish under the caution. It's been a scrappy road, yes, to get here. I have to go back and count the number of yellows that we had along the way, but if I do the math correctly, I do think we got into the double digits, but DJ, ultimately, Matt Taylor's not going to care. He just cares. He sees the checkered flag first.
Yeah, exactly. He is just going to be happy with that win, and a well-fought win. It may be ending here under yellow, but that does not diminish the race here that Matt Taylor has run.
It's the first time this season that Taylor is back to his winning form. It's after 2 pole positions early in the season. It has been an up-and-down campaign, despite the fact that Nezumi Graphics LC are still very much on top. Would you be shocked to hear that the last time Matt Taylor came out on top, DJ, came at a short track?
I mean, not with the pace that we've seen him run here today. This is clearly a very much in the wheelhouse here of Sean Taylor.
And he'll be hoping...
Matt Taylor, excuse me.
Don't worry, we've all fluffed up a little bit today, not just on track, but in the commentary booth as well. Taylor's last victory came at Gateway, October 27th last year, so almost a year to the day since that last victory. And of course, our final short track of the season will be at Gateway, beginning of 2024. We'll be looking forward to that one, I'm sure. One more lap to go, though. 1 more mile under pace. Well, pacing, I should say. And we will finish up this HyperX 175 at Milwaukee and talk to our winners. Campbell, I think, will be happy as well. Let's not forget, despite the fact that so many of those Nezumi Graphics LC teammates were around, he was all by himself and did exactly what he needed to do.
Yeah, exactly. He was able to come in here, maximize points on the day, and keep on in that championship position. He drove like a real champion out here tonight.
And as he's just put into the YouTube chat, did exactly what he needed to do for championship points, given that Michael O'Brien came into this race in second. All Sean Campbell needed to do was realistically get in front of the driver that qualified up towards the front. But in now 3 races here at the Milwaukee Mile in these Lotus 79s, only once has pole position been able to enter HyperX victory lane. It's Matt Taylor, though, from the edge of the top 10. For the first time in more than 365 days, will come across the line the winner of the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile. Double-digit cautions, yes, but Taylor outlasts them all, hangs on in a strategy thriller at times as well, and in a race that I'm sure frayed the nerves of plenty. DJ, it didn't stress the Nezumi Graphics LC team.
No, not at all. They were calm, cool, and collected from the drop of the green flag, from team communications to absolutely running at the front of this field exactly as they need to. Arjuna, they did what they needed to do here today and put on a great display of teamwork.
And Matt Taylor will burn it down in victory lane, and this will be a sweet feeling Again, more than a year in the making. It's Matt Taylor on top, and the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile. As he continues to celebrate, we'll get ready to talk to him down in victory lane, but we'll quickly run you down through the arena race results, where we'll see a high rate of attrition, yes, going on almost 5 years after our last race here with this machine. And it's Matt Taylor that comes out on top, and under caution, just in front of the points leader, Sean Campbell, that will be rather happy with his performance to have done just enough to pip in front of Michael O'Brien, second in the points coming into today, and after grabbing pole position, leapfrogging his main championship rival as well. Rodrigo Munoz will be thrilled with a 4th place finish, up 12 positions for himself. Jordan Zaldo will be thrilled with a 5th place finish, while Hugo Gallas, the biggest mover of the day, plus 18 to grab 6th, while Luis Gonzalez Nunez, the finals driver, scored on the leading lap, showed his speed today without a shadow of a doubt, still looking for that consistency to be there at the very end. Richie Hearn in 8th, the only car 1 lap down, and then you get into the graveyard, the used car lot, the likes of Raven Lavoie Motorsports' David Sirah, very much salvaging some points in 9th. Alex Guillaume, 10th for him, while Mike Rasmuth, Ricky Hardin, Sam Fontaine, Chris Fowler, Cristobal Valenzuela, Jim Herrick, Matt Wagner, Sam Ryman, Christopher Hill, and Matt Telder, all amongst the trouble that we saw today. But we're not done just yet. Chris Stouffer, Craig Forsyth, David Rodriguez, and Drew White as well to round out the DNFs in a tumultuous day for many here at one of the oldest tracks available to go racing at, not just in the virtual world, but in the real world as well. As we wait to get a word with our race winner, it's time for us to dive into our next level racing post-race show, where we can make our way down towards HyperX Victory Lane, where we are standing by to be joined by Matt Taylor, winner once more, almost a full year in the making. It's going to take him a couple of minutes to get dialed up and get ready to chat with us. So in the meantime, DJ Clark is standing by with 3rd place finisher Michael O'Brien.
I am indeed, Michael. A great run there for you out on the track. Talk to me about how it was. It looked like that was just incredibly slippery conditions out there.
Yeah, I don't know how it came across on the broadcast, but in clean air, it's once the tank got to about half full, it was super slippery. But by about sort of 10 litres left in the tank, I was basically crashing every corner out front.
Well, now the other thing that we really noticed on the broadcast, and we certainly did notice that taking place, was the amount of seemingly communication between you and your Nizumi graphics team. Talk to me just how much you were talking with your teammates up at the front of the field.
Yeah, there was not a huge amount, honestly. When we got that little breakaway mid-race-ish, we tried to just stay in line so we could open that gap up as much as possible. But when it was me just sitting behind Matt, I wasn't like trying to block the second lane. I was just trying to keep the clean air on the entry, because Matt was taking a tighter line, and that tight line really sucks if the tires aren't really there.
Certainly does. Michael, a great run there for you out there today. Good championship points. Congratulations. We'll see you in Nashville. Or in Imola, rather.
Yes. Thanks.
And Arjuna, it looks like you are ready and standing by here with our 2nd place finisher, Sean Campbell.
Indeed, I am breaking down the walls of the teams up towards the front. But Sean, talk us through what you were feeling in the closing stages. Had done enough to be up there at the front, denied the chance to fight to the checkered flag.
I'm happy with how it turned out. I kind of wish I could have got Matt too, but you know, he did a great race and he did everything he needed to do as well. I was kind of scared. I think a lot of us were kind of scared of the restarts with how much rotation this setup had. It was really, really nice, but it was a little bit scary when the tires were cold. So I think that was some of what was going on with the cautions. It's just once you're on the outside, in the dirty air it's fine, but once you're on the outside to go to try and pass someone, there's so much more rotation. And it's really good for passing, but it's really, really scary.
I mean, we saw you make that outside work quite well on a handful of occasions. Of course, after this, we're over to Imola, but then bouncing back and forth oval and road courses. We've got Nashville still to come, Gateway and Auto Club. You said you did exactly what you needed to do in the championship. How are you looking forward to some of the fun races that we've got coming up ahead? Because Imola, Road America, those should be quite fun in the road courses.
I'm very excited for those, and Auto Club as well. Auto Club, I really, really like Auto Club for racing. For whatever reason, that's my most successful oval track. No expectations, though.
Interesting. Most successful track with no expectations. Congratulations on second, though, Sean, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks over in Imola.
All right, peace.
Second place for Sean Campbell, but victorious for Matt Taylor, and for the first time in almost a full year. Matt, talk us through the emotions. How do you feel back on top in the Lionheart Retro Series?
It feels awesome. It has not been a great year, I would say, across all of the Lionheart series, but to get back into victory lane is awesome.
And in this sort of a race as well, where I think we had 10 cautions, so plenty of stop and start, strategies changing all the time. You were on one of those counter strategies at one point as well. How difficult is it to keep up with everything that's going on? Michael O'Brien, your teammate, was saying there wasn't too much team communication going on, so it seems like it's a lot on you to make sure you're doing the right thing at the right time.
A little bit. I mean, we were discussing whether or not to pit under certain cautions or kind of what we were doing, and I think with as sensitive as this setup was to clean air, to dirty air, I don't think any of us knew really how this race was going to go, and particularly at the end. It was just sort of letting the race evolve and see how it came out, and then all of our strategies kind of converged there at the end, and it was just a hard battle.
It was a really fun battle, that's for sure. Matt, congratulations back in HyperX victory lane, and we'll see you in Imola to kick on for the rest of 2023.
Thank you, Arjuna. Appreciate it.
Always great to chat to Matt Taylor and indeed to the rest of the podium sitters as well. And yeah, stressful race. I'm sure they'll go off and celebrate after this one, and just getting to the end, an achievement in and of itself. But I think we're looking forward to what's coming up next. It's the Butt Kicker Grand Prix of Imola. It's a classic, let's be real. But DJ, it's one that's going to be difficult to pass at. Qualifying's going to be important. Strategy will be important. And it's very much going to be suited to this Grand Prix machine that we've wheeled around plenty of ovals over the course of 2023.
Yeah, we certainly have, and it certainly will. Mark your calendars for November 9th. The Grand Prix of Imola going to be absolutely spectacular to watch. It's going to reward a lot of bravery for these drivers to send this car down to the inside, and I agree with you, Arjuna. Qualifying is going to be where it's at.
And after that, it's only 4 more races to go. Boy, this extended 22-round Lionheart Retro Series schedule looked quite imposing at the start of the year, but it's really ticked on by as we take a look at the next level racing schedule. Nashville, Road America, Gateway, and Auto Club. All roads lead to Auto Club, and Sean Campbell's excited. I think DJ, the thing he's most excited about is the fact that he may go into that final round of the championship not too worried about how the points are playing out.
Yeah, I think so as well. Auto Club, despite how much Sean does love that track, it can be a little bit of a roll of the dice. We've seen some big incidents take place there, so I think for Sean, being able to come into that race with that championship locked up, that's just going to make it fun.
It's going to make it a lot more fun, and with no double points on the line as well. That's always something to be grateful for as well. But it's as we say goodbye to you here from the Milwaukee Mile that we look forward to seeing you on the other side of the pond in just a couple of weeks' time. Don't forget that the Lionheart competition never stops. There's always something going on, and so, well, to learn more about the 3 competitions the sanctioning body puts forward, to learn more about the partners of the Lionheart Racing Series, head to lionheartracingseries.com. And don't forget that this coming Monday, you can join us for what is expected to be a thriller, the HyperX Grand Prix of Imola, the latest round of the Butt Kicker Sports Car Championship. We'll see if Sean Campbell can extend the streak, the margin of 100% victories so far in 2023. For now, though, it's time to bid you farewell. For DJ Clark alongside myself, Arjuna Kankipati, thank you so much for joining us. It took a while to get to the checkered flag, but Matt Taylor is back on top in the Lionheart Retro Series. He wins the HyperX 175 at the Milwaukee Mile.